Amazing grace, oh how sweet the sound that saved.
And here we go. The man claiming to be Elvis Presley said he wanted to come out and prove to the world he was still alive, but he never did. Well, now new DNA evidence has led to a landmark court case in Tennessee, and this man's DNA is in the mix of it all. What's this all about? Well, here's how it all went down.
Alive.
Absolutely. I would never treat anyone without seeing them eye to eye, and it is truly Elvis Aaron Presley.
That was 2002, when we first met Dr. Donald Hinton in Missouri. The board-certified psychiatrist claimed that Elvis was still alive and his patient.
Welcome to my world.
Dr. Hinton passed a lie detector test and showed us presents from his patient, like cufflinks he said Anne Margaret gave Elvis after filming Viva Las Vegas.
Well, then I'd like you to check my motor. It whistles.
I don't blame it.
Hinton published this book at his patient's request. Letters allegedly written by Elvis, now using the name of Elvis's deceased twin brother, Jesse Garon Presley.
I'm so lonesome.
Jesse claims he faked his death with the help of his manager, Colonel Tom Parker.
The Colonel told Elvis, in faking his death, that the Colonel would make more money off of this than Elvis made in his entire lifetime. The Colonel did it for the money.
I can't walk out.
But Elvis did it because he said, I just had to get away.
Perhaps to escape an unhealthy lifestyle and threats against his family.
So a lot of his motivation was for his own physical safety.
So why come back?
He's so focused on his own religion and spirituality and what he feels he must do before he truly passes from this earth.
Finding Graceland, produced by Priscilla Presley, is all about Elvis being alive.
She does know the truth. She's known for a very long time.
Is that why the king's name is misspelled on his tombstone? Elvis's middle name Aaron was spelled with one A, but here there are clearly two.
Because he didn't want his full real name on a grave that he was not in.
Cousins at the funeral say the body looked like wax.
His hairline looked as if it had been a hairpiece, something glued on.
There were a lot of comments about, it just didn't look like Elvis Presley.
Also curious, 6 months after the death, this picture was taken and certified by Kodak.
My God, I had Elvis Presley sitting in the doorway, looking out at the fans walking past his business.
So what does he look like now? Hinton claims this is Elvis during a visit with Lisa Marie and her son Benji.
And he doesn't look like people expect him to look because he hasn't aged in front of us.
Here's the photo side by side with other photographs of Elvis. And here's a picture of Benji. What do you think? Graceland says no way.
We firmly believe that person who died on August 16th was Elvis.
Then who is Jesse? Learned of businessman Bill Beanie. He had medical records from a Memphis doctor that contained tissue samples from 2 liver biopsies and the autopsy. Would they match Jesse? At the lab, they discovered something startling.
All 3 samples appear to be from different individuals because each one of them has a different DNA type.
Elvis's liver tissue sample is different than Elvis's autopsy tissue sample, and neither matches Jesse.
Is over.
Or so we thought. 6 years later, Jesse's DNA has led to a landmark lawsuit in Memphis, Tennessee, filed by a woman who says not only is Jesse Elvis, but she's his half-sister.
We spoke to this woman exclusively. She spoke to Fox 8 after she says DNA we received from the man claiming he's Elvis matched her own DNA. And she says DNA from Elvis's family members also matches. So is Elvis alive, and is she really his half-sister? You decide.
Oh, I wish I was in a land of cotton.
It was the first program beamed around the world by satellite.
I had a next-door neighbor. I went over to her house, the satellite one from Hawaii. She was there watching it.
But 11-year-old Eliza could have cared less.
I was like, why are people still watching him now? And I remember she gave me this look like, are you insane? We're talking about Elvis Presley here.
Several years later, as fans said goodbye to the king, Eliza learned she was adopted.
She met her birth mother and wanted to meet her biological dad.
She gave me his name. I tracked him down.
In Memphis, Tennessee. But sadly, the man said he didn't know her mother.
And he has denied it from day one.
She wondered, if he wasn't her father, then who was? Eliza's husband had a theory after seeing these pictures of Elvis as a child next to photos of their own children.
He looked at the picture, looked at me, and he's like, I'm telling you, you're related to the man.
Sure, her mother grew up near Graceland, and yes, she spent time with Elvis as documented in this newspaper clipping, but realistically...
And I remember going, you're crazy.
She dismissed the thought until a cancer scare.
If something were to happen to me tomorrow, I still wouldn't know the truth.
Well, a hard-headed woman, soft-hearted man.
The only way to know was DNA. Eliza tells us she collected samples from Elvis's family. Donna Presley, a first cousin on his father's side, and Brenda Smith, a first cousin on his mother's side. The results stunned her. According to the lab report, Eliza is biologically related to Donna Presley. Interesting, but she needed Elvis's DNA to really prove he was her dad. And that's where our story ended. Until about 10 months ago when Eliza tracked us down. She had heard of our DNA tests and believed that at least one sample was from Elvis.
That was the original reason I ever tracked you down, was to test against that. I still didn't believe the whole scenario of the Jesse thing.
We sent our reports to the Paleo DNA laboratory. They determined Eliza did not match the genes, but say she did match Jesse's DNA, except not as father-daughter.
He's not your father. It seems like he's your half-brother. And I went, he's my what?
A random man who claimed he was Elvis and gave us his DNA matched Eliza as her half-brother. And he matched both sides of Elvis's family tree.
Well, how the hell does that happen that somebody you've never laid eyes on, that you didn't believe existed, is now your sibling?
Do you believe that Jesse is Elvis?
He has to be. There's no two ways about it. You can't fake.
Resolved.
But Eliza is so confident that Elvis's dad, Vernon, is also her father, she changed her name to Presley and took Elvis Presley Enterprises to court.
Don't cry, Daddy.
Many people have tried to sue Elvis Presley Enterprises over the years, usually a self-proclaimed love child. This case is different for a number of reasons. For starters, it's the first time someone has claimed they're Elvis's half-sister. And more importantly, it's the first time the courts have reopened the estate.
People have been surprised and curious as to what's there. You know, all the money's been distributed. There's nothing left for this young lady to get monetarily.
But Eliza says she's not after money.
I think it was to be such a travesty that he really does die, and I never even get to meet him.